Hello, Taurus, and welcome to your July 2024 forecast. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. It's great to see everybody. A quick reminder before we begin, this can be used for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. Let's begin with your channeled messages. The first thing that I saw in dreams was a very interesting scene, actually. It looked like I was at somebody's wake or funeral, and much to the chagrin and surprise of everybody, that person came straight into the room. And this basically represents the ability to come back from a setback. And for some of you, you may feel like, well, I had that one shot or that one opportunity, or you feel like the world is over. And this literally was like resurrection, rebirth, reinvention. And when everyone declared you gone or done, you came into your own wake, basically, and showed them that that was not the case. And so this was a lot of fun, actually, from the perspective of a dreamer to see. Don't let anybody shut a door on you or tell you that it's not possible. Until you believe that heart and soul, then, you can't take the one rejection to heart. I recently just discovered this great new singer, Chapel Roan. She's been around for a while, but she got rejected from her label initially, and now she's recently got a lot of success. But, it takes a lot of hard work, right? And sometimes you don't hit it straight out of the gate. And I love it when someone shows, whoever that record label was, I'm sure today they're regretting their sort of decision. But that was what she sort of made of the experience. She's like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to stay authentic. I'm going to do my thing. So you have a chance to really surprise people, but it requires your own sort of belief and having a little bit of comfort with the fact that not everybody is immediately successful in whatever chosen path they might be trying. Keep persevering until you're ready to move in a different direction. That being said, sometimes it is time to say, I'm done with this. Whether you're quitting a job, leaving a relationship, moving from a house, sometimes you've gotten everything that you need out of that situation and you're ready to shut the door. But when you do that, there's another door that's ready to open. And that was the big takeaway with this, is that one end is another beginning, and it's all about what you make of it. The next thing that came through in dreams was a picture of somebody getting ready to get their driver's permit. And before anything happened, I felt the sort of nerves and butterflies that most of us would get before we take a test or have to perform. There's that question in our head, can I do it? I saw that someone did receive the permit, so let's take that piece of the equation out. You are capable. It's just a matter of not getting in your headspace too much. Now, the permit, whether or not you drive a car or have a license, it just represents freedom, the ability for you to get behind the wheel and choose which direction you want to go without having to ask anybody for permission. So the chariot would absolutely be connected to this. It's your turn to get behind the figurative wheel of your life and drive if you're ready. There may be a little bit of learning, a little bit of challenge. We just talked about that singer that I mentioned in the previous slide where she got rejected and had to kind of start again, anew, and build herself back up, and now she's successful. But it doesn't always happen immediately, or sometimes there's a necessary step. Maybe it's certification or school or an internship or apprenticeship. My guides also pointed at the chest and said, breathe, like take a moment to be present, to process the emotions, to ground yourself, and also breathe in everything that's going on around you, really understand the experience. The other thing here, of course, because sometimes there are tangible pieces that aren't just symbolic, because I'm looking at the lungs here, take a look at, and we're looking at cars, make sure you've changed the filters in your car. If you have central air conditioning or air conditioning, make sure you've taken care of that as well. And just pay attention to, the health of your pulmonary system as well. So take that if you will. If you have any allergies or asthma, just a little bit of extra TLC. Finally, breathing and meditation go hand in hand. So yoga, this is a great time to practice yoga, or just really take a moment if you're busy during the day, and remember not to do the shallow breathing, but to just kind of like let it out. I used to be a manager, and when I had to talk to one of my employees, I remember I could tell if they weren't taking it very well because they were a loud sigher, like they would when you were telling them something. It never really bothered me because first I could see what was going on emotionally with that sort of cue. And secondly, it's really healthy to breathe out when you're stressed. So remember not necessarily to take a sigh like that, but just to, take a break, take a walk, and then breathe. Okay. And the last thing here, also really powerful and beautiful, was I was shown a crown in dreams, and when I asked who it was for, Spirit just kind of pointed to me and pointed to everybody, saying, you are all connected to that divine energy. So this is a call to step up and really kind of be the emperor or the empress. And kind of like I've been saying all along here, you can take the wheel and drive, you can prove someone wrong and kind of like come back from a setback. Confidence in the form of self-worth and just belief can help you get the net worth that you're seeking. So self-worth equals net worth. And there's a little line from Still Magnolias, which is smile, it increases your face value. When people see the body language, when you can back it up with the belief, and then you kind of put yourself out there, then you start to embody that sense of gravitas, of divinity, of power. So hopefully this gives you what you need, Taurus, to kick off the month. Let's go ahead and get into the cards now. Take a look and see what's coming through and navigate the possibilities. All right, take a moment, Taurus, if you will. Take a nice deep breath. Remember, that was part of the channeled messages. Let go of anything that you've been holding in your mind and just allow yourself to be open to receive. Thank you so much. All right, let's give the cards a shuffle here. I'm using Wild Unknown. It's a deck I haven't used in a minute. But I love all the animal imagery that comes through on this, so let's see what it has to say for July. I just have to pause for a second. I usually don't while I'm shuffling, but we got both the Emperor and the Empress. We have the Two of Cups and we have the Lovers. So partnership's going to be a key theme, but also power and the ability for you to, with your self-confidence, bring things into your life. It's definitely a part of this. Okay, back to the shuffle. Synchronicity. We were just talking about that. Be open and aware of where those synchronicities start to come through. Zeus definitely connected to the Emperor energy. Fantastic. There's so much sort of like power, energy, opportunity coming through. I can't wait to read. Let's start with your catalyst first, synchronicity. All right, as always, this card is going to help you either create the necessary change or embrace it. And in this case, synchronicity is really about embracing and recognizing it. I think that's why I was talking about in the channeled messages the importance of breathing and being present, clearing your mind of any distractions so you could recognize that. The diamond is an important symbol. That basically happens when carbon is heated under great pressure for a long amount of time. And in everyday life, this is just sort of like being able to take experiences that were difficult. Now we're talking about the wake in my channeled messages, and come back better from that. And in a way that basically makes you sparkle and shine and show people that you're not done. This is not your swan song. You've got a lot to give. This could also represent something favorable like a proposal or a new opportunity, just like a diamond ring. So someone could want to connect with you. And we did get the Lovers card. The two snakes could be the two lovers. The two snakes could also be the Emperor and the Empress, since snakes are symbols of power. Could be two opportunities that are also kind of like dueling for your attention. So there may be some choices that you need to make, Taurus, this month. Be discerning. Let's go ahead now and break it down card by card. Again, I just want to emphasize the synchronicities that I already see first. We had the Emperor and the Empress, and I talked about that in the channeled message. Actually, just saying it now reminds me that I forgot to mention it here as we were breaking this down. So this was about realizing your power. So really feeling worthy, feeling able, and taking the wheel. All of them actually can connect here. No surprise, since this was about synchronicities. So we have the actual Emperor and the Empress energy here in the cards. I'll bring that slide up when we break it down. And now we have connections coming through. Lovers has 2 people in it, the 2 of Cups, 2 people as well, and we have the 2 snakes. So there's choices, or there are choices in front of you. I think discernment is going to be the most important thing. Let's get to the center card, the 5 of Swords reversed. In this particular version of the 5 of Swords, we see a couple of earthworms and then all the swords behind them. There could be some slippery conversations. I think that's why they chose these 2 symbols. And also, it is about staying grounded and not getting too emotional. I think it helps to review the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card in this instance. So we see someone here that could be trying to push your buttons. And as you can see, energetically, they feed off your response. So you really want to make sure that you don't get in that kind of slippery conversation. A couple things that you can do when you're presented with this kind of energy is just change the timing and the location if you need to. So if you're kind of sparring back and forth, not getting anywhere, you can simply say, I think we've said everything we need to right now. How about we regroup later? If someone is just being rude or dismissive, you could just say, this isn't constructive. Reach out when you're ready to listen. This is just a one-way conversation. Feel free to call them out. You got the Emperor and the Empress card this month. They're testing your boundaries, so just let them know that you don't have time for that. The most important thing here is not to try to see if there's a winner or a loser, because in the 5 of Swords, at the end of the day, no one really wins. It's just a waste of time and energy. So I always encourage people to focus on something else. Go where the energy is receptive, 2 of Cups. And this is a chance for you to really focus on people that have your back. We can see that they're right in the environment. There could be someone who has been trying to get your attention for a while. It could be a coworker. It could be a love interest. It could be a friend. When this situation kind of goes awry, the 2 of Cups is coming through to say, not only do you deserve better, but it's likely already in your periphery somewhere. The key to success with the 2 of Cups is to have a face-to-face conversation if you can. It could also indicate for some of you a way to work past this. So if normally you get along with someone, but you're going back and forth in email or text and it's just not getting anywhere, the face-to-face could help you find peace, or at least common ground, right? And it's interesting that they chose in this illustration to have roses, which have thorns. It's really about being able to see the positive and also the negative or critical in anything, and celebrate the rose component of it. Work past those differences and really get to a place where the 2 of you can come together on what you care about. Now, again, it can just represent for some of you a chance to connect with somebody. Make sure that energetically you're ready for that, because it is right on top of that 5 of Swords. So some of you could be coming to a perfectly receptive audience with this. So breathing, clearing that out, remembering that sometimes even when it's the end of a work day and then we're going to meet with friends or a family member or your partner, you don't need to bring that into that sort of situation, because you don't want to recreate it there, okay? We'll be keeping an eye out for love a little bit later and see how it's going to connect here. But first things first, let's look at the deep past. This is a representative card of you, your emotional spirit, what's going on in your head. And we have one of the best cards for receptive energy here, the Queen of Cups. When she's reversed, however, there is a reminder, kind of like I was giving you some tips right there to take care of yourself before connecting with others. Same thing here. This has to do with your emotional sort of well-being and your emotional mood. And if there's anything that you need to do to clear that, to cope with any sort of stress, sadness, or emotions that you might be carrying right now, absolutely, this is the time to focus on that and to prioritize that first and foremost. The other thing here is she can just be really picky and discerning, and that is okay, because I mentioned here there are choices this month. So if something just doesn't feel right to you, or if something isn't what you expected or wanted or needed, express that. Let people know how to show up. Let them know if you're disappointed. I think it's important just to honor your feelings, and that's the big takeaway there. But increased sensitivity, and for some of you, just a little bit of healing, that's also a part of this card. Now, we can see a partnership, a divine partnership coming through here. Empress and the Emperor card here in the recent past. So there is, these are basically equal, but in the spread, one of them is topsy-turvy. So for some of you, you are trying to get your grounding, or there could have been someone in this 5 of Swords moment that kind of took your breath away, but not necessarily always in a good way. It's someone where you argued a lot, or you just kind of felt like it's just very frustrated or triggered. And it's important in this moment to find your peace, find your power, and remember what we talked about in the channeled message, which is you're all connected to divine energy. People that come through and tell you that you're not good enough, that you're less than, or even throw an insult your way, that is 9 times out of 10 due to their own insecurities. Someone may have said that to them. They may believe it about themselves. And instead of coping with that, dealing with that, they're projecting it your way. At the end of the day, this is a reminder to take that external criticism with a grain of salt. Make sure there's a constructive element to it. And if there's not, it's, again, not really worth your time and energy. This is also a chance for you to look at what in your life is creating a sense of stability and support and what is destabilizing you. So whether it's working too much or not getting enough sleep, or again, maybe some of these people in your life that just aren't giving you the support that you need. This is your time to basically release that, deal with that, and again, focus on self-care. And then this could just be a reclamation of power. If someone in the past didn't allow you to speak or wasn't giving you permission to do what you wanted to do, this is why I saw the Chariot in channeled messages, or I was getting that sort of driver's permit message. So this is you steering your own life in the direction that you want and knowing that you earned this opportunity, you earned this moment. So in dreams, I talked about the importance of the crown. I was shown a crown and then Spirit pointed to you. So let's take a moment and really focus on the crowning card, because that's where your power is this month. So in the reverse state, the King of Wands is just a little bit stubborn. Stubbornness isn't always bad because it gives you a chance to move beyond naysayers, move past obstacles, and step into your own wake, kind of like I was seeing, and laugh and say, I'm not done. This isn't over. I'm stronger than you think. So I don't feel like we always have to remedy a reverse card. The advice from Spirit is to be headstrong. So this is one time I'm not going to alter it. I'm going to say it's absolutely what we need to have because Spirit pointed to the crown. And as I'm looking at the cards and reading, I'm like, well, that's the crowning card. Know yourself well and well enough to know when others are wrong and push through and just show them. Show them through hard work, perseverance, and through rising up. If we take this card and look at it in the upright position, there's a bolt of lightning here. And that nicely connects to your destiny card because Zeus was the god of thunder and lightning, had the capacity to throw that lightning bolt and create something, make something happen, get people's attention. So your ability to step into the lead, to shake things up a little bit, kind of like the Tower reversed, it's sort of saying, I'm ready for this change. I want to be the agent of change. Let's do this. This is where things can kind of get exciting this month. In the near future here, we have the Two of Pentacles, beautiful butterfly in this card. It's representing a change for the better, especially since we see that symbol of metamorphosis and change. By letting go of one thing, you're going to have the freedom to fly. That's why this card was reversed. There's too much on your plate. Even the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card shows someone trying to find their balance. Interestingly enough, you had an Emperor that was reversed. So there's one thing that may not be worth your time or energy. And by not having to split or divide yourself in all of these different directions, you'll have more to give in the long run. Even in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card, we can see that someone is trying to find their balance. It's really interesting too that lack of balance is seen right here in the Emperor card. So focus on things in your life where your time, your energy, your power, it's all kind of like welcomed and it basically is making a difference. And if there's anything where you constantly have to prove yourself, that's too much. That's too much wasted time and energy. And again, it could simply be on someone who isn't ready to listen in the Five of Swords or who always has to have their way. So that's not where you want to focus. Make sure you're getting paid enough, that you're being supported enough, that everything is worth your time. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to you this month. You're coming through wonderfully here. King of Swords, wisdom and the ability to both speak and act with also authority. I love it. And the owl in this one especially, I'm looking at the eyes here. When you have an important conversation or negotiation, that eye contact is everything. And a little tip too, if you have a hard time figuring out like how to look at someone, just focus on one of the two eyes. I got this tip once when I was interviewing, and I've been able to use it ever since. It just helps me not look around too much, and I can just focus my thoughts looking at one. And it really gives that person a sense of you connecting with just them. Also, think before speaking. Really think about, how this is going to help. And if there's something where it's just not worth your time because of that Two of Pentacles that we talked about, weigh it out and think, should I say this or should I just focus on something else? This is going to be especially important when it comes to an email or a text or a comment on social media. The other thing with the King of Swords is that this is a period in time where people want to hear what you have to say. And so by not wasting time or spinning your wheels on some of the unnecessary things, you can focus more on public speaking, putting things into writing, whether it's creative or technical or tactical or marketing related. It doesn't matter. What matters is that people are very receptive to words and actions. So choose wisely. And that's why the owl is on there. You can really make an impact with appropriate and effective communication. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. Right here in the environment, we have the Lovers card coming through. Yes, it's reversed, but it's also one of the best cards in the deck. So whether reversed or upright, it can represent something really positive coming into your life, something that is potentially a synchronicity, because in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card, we have the angel. This represents the universe coming through, providing something you've worked hard for. It could be in the form of a partnership, and we saw that partnership at the center. So be open to receiving help, advice, or some sort of an opportunity through a person that maybe you didn't expect coming into your life. Birds of a feather flock together. This reminds you literally that like attracts like energy. And the energy you're putting out there is leadership, communication, and basically walking the walk and talking the talk. So if you do that, someone else of an equal sort of energy could come forth. The only reason this may be reversed is this. This is from the past. It can be turned around. So being grounded, being present, and speaking up and doing what you need to do, basically all the things that would be in the Emperor, can help you get the Lover's energy. This is a great time for you to also come out of your shell. If you're pulling back a little bit from networking, social events, etc., this card reminds you of the importance of building out that network. It's not just family or friends. We're looking at beyond that. It could be community, it could be faith, it could be other things like that. This is a time to see and be seen, basically, okay? And yes, love could be knocking at the door right now. It's just a question of receptivity. We'll look more at that receptivity when I take a look at love, but let's talk about hopes, fears, and opportunity first. So we have the Empress coming through here. This is a symbol of power, of being able to produce, to embody, to create, to nurture. It's a really great energy overall. It is also not too far away from the Lovers card. So with the combination of King of Swords and Empress here, we're seeing someone that you might be pulling into your life right now that is very, very sure of themselves and is looking for the same from you. So like I said, the sooner you get into this energy of believing in your power and strength and maybe just speaking up a little bit more or coming out of your shell, then that's when that Lover's energy will present itself in the form of an Empress. If you're looking for a leader, if you're looking for a mentor, if you're looking for a lover, all of these energies with that Empress card are fantastic. It's a great time for birthing and creating as well, since this is definitely connected to all of that. And for those of you trying to get pregnant, this is also a very auspicious symbol. If you are looking for love, there could also be someone that already has a child, and that is something just to be mindful of. If you're open to that, it could also expand who might come in and who you might meet. And I didn't even see this originally because it's such a different interpretation of it, but we have a third card of relationship building here, the Four of Wands. So Two of Cups, which is love, the Lovers, which is face value, love, and now we have the Four of Wands, which is a beautifully foundational energy for anything that you want to focus on in your life. As illustrated, we see what looks like an iris, the center of your eye at the center of this card, and it's saying keep your eye, keep your focus on what we would see in this traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card, which is partnership. And now as we take a look at the Catalyst card, these are like two rings with the diamond in the center. Many of you have worked really, really hard to get to this moment in time. And that's basically what we saw here. People are seeing that clarity, that strength. Oftentimes it comes through a difficult situation, but lo and behold, it's worth it. Now, the one thing that's absent in this card are the people that we just saw in the Rider-Waite-Smith illustration, that doesn't mean that they're not coming. That just means that sometimes you have to get everything in alignment, and then that synchronicity will make itself seen. So one step at a time, keep the faith, keep the vision, keep working hard on yourself. And for many of you, we're starting to see someone that's interested or maybe even reaches out and says, hey, do you want to do this together, whether it's a project or they're asking you out on a date or something of that nature. Let's go ahead and go a little deeper into the extended forecast where we take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, beginning with the energy of health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. So you received a card here that is giving you a little bit of advice before I go to the main camera. Let's just read it. It says, take charge and action. You have the King and Queen cards here, the Emperor and the Empress. And we also have an abundance of power cards here. Queen of Cups, King of Wands, King of Swords. So suffice it to say, you have what it takes to create the necessary action in your life. It's just a matter of speaking up. And that sometimes is the hardest part, especially when it comes to our health. I was actually talking to two of my friends. We've all been having some challenges in the past, like with some dental work. I had a bad dentist at the beginning of the year that just wasn't listening, and I had to speak up and stop going to them. And a couple of my friends had similar situations also with dental work. And sometimes it's just a matter of they got all that stuff in your mouth and it's hard to ask a question or say stop. And sometimes it's a trust issue. No matter what's going on, stop. You can always stop saying something and say, help me understand, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? How is this going to help me? How much will this cost? You get to be behind that driver's seat in any aspect of your life, whether it's your teeth, whether it's your bones, whether it's anything that's going on in your mind, body, or spirit. So never underestimate the power of a question, and don't feel bad about sort of stopping and saying, I need to get a second opinion, or I don't feel comfortable with this, or break it down. It's not making sense. Don't proceed without understanding the fine print for sure. And if there's something you want to change in your life, you're the agent of change. So say, maybe there's something that you want to shift in your exercise routine or what you're eating, or maybe even where you're going to work out or whatever. This is just about you being the decision maker and keeping yourself accountable as well. All right, as we look at the regular spread for additional messages, here's what I see. The Two of Pentacles is coming through to really remind you to create balance in your life. This can be in your schedule, your resources, but it's also looking at even just balance issues that may be going on for you. So if there's vertigo or inner ear issues, immediately work with your doctor on that. But figuratively, this is usually having too many things that you're trying to do at once. And it's just a reminder to do what's not only healthy, but what's going to make you feel more stable, more supported. The Empress card can be a card of motherhood and pregnancy. We really don't see the children in this spread so much. So for those of you trying to conceive, it is possible this month, but what I'm seeing here can be stressful relationships, too many things on your schedule. All of that stress can make it more difficult to conceive if that's something that you're trying to do. Emotional sensitivity also playing a really big role this month. Many of you are just feeling the sort of weight of trying to do too many things or trying to please too many people. So giving yourself a little bit of space and freedom and getting the support that you need in order to feel heard and seen, that's going to be important. Relationships are definitely kind of at the center of this spread. Some of them are really supportive. Some of them, it could almost be coming through like a frenemy or someone that is trying to just kind of like get in your headspace a bit. Pull back from that. If there's someone that is inciting an argument or just seems less than supportive, you've got other things to focus on this month. You have to pick and choose. Because in the case of the Lovers and the Four of Wands, there's a lot more support elsewhere when I'm looking at this spread. And it's not here, but I'm getting a message as I'm looking at all of this. So maybe it's because of the Emperor and the Empress, but they're asking me to talk about the house. And what I'm seeing basically for some of you is either you're feeling they're also kind of showing the four walls coming in. So some of you are feeling like a certain space in the house is crowded, or you're outgrowing either a work or living situation. So wherever you're feeling that sense of the walls coming in, or you're getting on each other's nerves, perhaps we'll look at that in the relationship spread in just a second. But that's what I'm getting, is that there needs to be maybe some cleaning or redecorating or renovation, or maybe it's time to move. Environment can definitely affect multiple facets of health, so do with that what you may. Finally, with the King of Wands here in reverse, This could also show fatigue or a lack of vitality for some of you. And if there's anything in your life that's occupying a lot of mental real estate, because this can be fixation on one thing, that's probably where the exhaustion is coming from. It could be from, again, someone that might be arguing with you, a lot of stress that you might be carrying, whatever it is where you're thinking about it more than you should. This is where you want to lean on others for support so that you can free up your energy so you can focus on new things and take care of yourself at the end of the day. That's everything in respect to health. Let's move on to wealth, resources, life purpose, and career. And we have the inner child coming through. I said there were no children here. She was kind of hidden. But this is more about you connecting with something that brings you joy. And maybe for some of you, this is like on the nose. You may be deciding to like write a children's book or be a teacher or go into pediatric medicine or something of that nature. Or you're trying to have a kid and that affects sort of like what you're going to be doing for your career. All of that could be part of this. But generally speaking, as I'm looking at this, this is about fulfilling some sort of a childhood dream, goal, or aspiration. As we grow up, a lot of times we get overly practical. We hold ourselves back from trying new things. The inner child is coming out and saying, have fun, play in that sandbox a little bit. Don't be afraid to explore what's possible. And the other thing here is, I love that she's in this dress here. Dress up for the occasion. That's part of it too. Sometimes when we get very sort of settled or comfortable in a role, we may get more casual. I think it's important if you're going on, whether it's an interview, a date, or an important meeting, to show up and be like the best version of yourself. It's not all in the appearance, but we don't want to neglect that, especially for job seekers. Let's break this down now into three major categories. We're going to start off with those that are already employed, those that might be seeking a new job, and then of course retirees and students. And when I'm looking at those that are employed, I'm also looking at entrepreneurs. The reason I say that is we also have very powerful energy coming through. So if you were just considering launching a business, or if you already have done that and you own your own business, we just see that you're exactly where you need to be. The King of Wands in reverse doesn't like to be bossed around. Here's your challenge. If you're an entrepreneur this month, you would benefit from some level of partnership, of having at least one other person, whether it's an investor or a business person or a legal assistant. I see sometimes communication can break down there. You may be worried about stretching your resources a bit, but I feel like this person can help with that. So keep an open mind to different levels of partnership. It could help. For people in a traditional 9-to-5 job, here's what I see. Try to rise above any sort of morale issues that might be at work, and definitely any negative conversations. So it could be gossip, it could be complaining, it could be just anything. It's not worth it. And if somebody is throwing daggers your way, create distance, use your power and say no, have some good space, elevate it if you need to, talk to someone else, get them involved, but it's not worth going back and forth with that person. Other things that I see, some of you are doing the job of two people or more than two people. And at the end of the day, you can only do so much. You're human. So prioritize. Let someone know, I can do this, but we're going to need some help with this. Or if you want me to do that, something else has to be sacrificed. What do you want it to be? So you don't have to bear the weight of the load. You don't have to make all those decisions. You just have to highlight what's possible and say, I'm here to help, and here's how much can be done, or here's what we need if we're going to do all of it. Probably going to be more people. But anyway, I see a lot of cooks in the kitchen. What I mean by that is there's almost too many court and power cards. It's top heavy. Some of you may be working in an organization where there's one or more bosses and they're in everyone's business. This is where it's also really important to speak up and say, I heard and received the priorities and the instructions. I need some space and some time to complete it. And not everybody works well with someone kind of breathing over their neck. And that definitely is what the King of Wands in reverse is doing. He's micromanaging. So that's not good. That needs to be pushed back a little bit. And, if that person needs a little bit of validation, here's the good news. 2 of Cups, Lovers, and 4 of Wands. You're doing great when it comes to clients, coworkers, and general opinions outside of whoever this sort of struggle may be with. So lean on that, and hopefully good word of mouth will bubble up. I do feel like in the long run, because this is in possibilities, there could be a level up, an opportunity for you to go to the next space. But for some of you, if there's only so many spots at the top, it may take a while. And that's really what you have to figure, is if you're willing to wait, a few months or a few years, depending on the size of the company. Have the conversation, that open conversation about growth, and just let them know what you're interested in and try to get a feel for what's going on. If you are working, but it's not full time just yet, this bodes very well, because this is a marriage card or proposal card. This is marriage or proposal. And they're kind of trying to decide, how can we make this happen? They're looking at the budget. That's the one constraint right now, but it does feel like you might have a chance to lengthen this sort of engagement, if you will. I have one more message for those of you that are employed. Some of you are working 2 jobs, and you can do it for a while, but there is a limit to that. The rubber band in the middle of the 2 of Pentacles can eventually sort of snap. Some of you also have a side hustle, so main job and a side hustle. The good news is the side hustle is taking off. I do think there'll be a critical mass at some point this year, but it could take 3 or 4 months. When you get to that point, you're going to have to make a choice. I feel like there's only so much you can do for those of you that are trying to balance 2. I would love for you to make one of those, if you can, the main focus, but I know it's not always possible. Sometimes we have to work weekends or nights or have a second shift. But when it comes to health situations, or if you start to see growth in one, maybe put more of the energy there, because interestingly enough, when you can give it 110%, it might be able to be the main focus. That's the last piece of advice that I have on that. For those that are looking for a job, can you find it? Absolutely. Some of you, though, are in a very competitive space. So make sure that you are looking at all of the options. Interestingly enough, if we go to the traditional 2 of Pentacles, there is a travel element to this card. So you could weigh options both locally and overseas, or in another city, state, country, or province. So make sure that you're not discounting something just because it's not immediately by you geographically. It's who you know this month. Absolutely. I've been saying that almost like a record throughout all the readings, but you especially. 2 of Cups, Lovers, 4 of Wands. People, people, people. So you work all the connections in your life. Your friends, your former colleagues, and maybe if you were students with someone, any classmates, also just neighbors. You never know who knows somebody. So articulate that you're looking for something, and someone could be that conduit for you. And that can help you get in. The only thing that I'm seeing for some of you is it could be a lateral sort of opportunity, like from your last job. So the important thing here is that if you like the environment better and you feel more stable, sometimes that lateral move is worth it. This is also a time to double down on making sure that you're highlighting your experience. It's not just where you went to school, but it's also like how you applied all of those skills. The further along you get in your career, it's more important to know like what you've done and what you can do with the skills, rather than just sort of like GPA and college. So make sure that you've looked at how you're putting together your online application or resume, and bubble up those sorts of things towards the top, and the mission statement and all of that. Crystal clarity, as we're looking at these 2, is also important. So be clear in your words, not too flowery, cut anything that isn't necessary. All of that will benefit you in the long run. All right. Now, for those of you that are students, it's a pretty good month to be a student. Everything here looks very good. I like the people that you're surrounding yourself with. I think the main thing here is not to be an inner saboteur, not to worry too much about can I, will I, what's all this? This is like stress coming through. With the 2 of Pentacles here, also just be mindful of commitments, not overextending, and not neglecting the very important piece, which is socializing, student life, meeting people, making sure that you're also, just getting out there and exploring internships and things of that nature. That's going to help you in the long run more than you might realize. But guess what? One of the challenges for some of you this month, this is true for everybody, but it came through especially for students, relationships are taking away some of your time and energy. So I think it's important to experience love and friendship, but find a balance, strike a balance between your other obligations as well. Retirees, here's what I see for you. It feels like you might be prioritizing that piece that I was just talking about. So this can be the person that you love the most, or a best friend. This can be your partner as well. This can be friendship. You're trying to find more energy with kindred spirits. Birds of a feather flock together. So I absolutely encourage that. It's the primary energy right now as well. Some of you also are kind of settling into the role of matriarch or patriarch, and you might find that your schedule is filled because people are coming to ask for advice or money or other things. You can say no. You don't have to say yes to every invitation or everything that comes down the path. And that's everything. So let's go ahead and move on to the next piece, which is going to be love. As we take a look at love, we have the elephant coming through. One of the symbols that I think of immediately with this is Lord Ganesha. So if there's an obstacle, you can overcome it. It's just a matter of clear communication, which we talked about a bit as we were looking at career. This can also be the elephant in the room. And I've had people ask me before, what does that mean? It's sort of like something really obvious that's in front of you that people ignore, but it's like, how can I ignore it? It's right here, it's gigantic. So if there's a big issue that nobody's talked about, but both of you want to, be the one that brings it up. Say, you know what? I feel like we should talk about this because whatever it is that you want to say. It's going to be a sense of relief on both parts. And then you get to kind of be, like I said, behind that driver's seat, and you can steer the conversation in the direction that you want it to be. Okay? This is also a very strong and social and intelligent symbol. So when we're looking at relationships, we're getting everything that we need from certain people, that feeling of, I can talk to you, you're wise, this is what I'm looking for. So you might find that ideal partner for those that are looking. Let's break it down. We're going to look at three main categories. Current relationships, if you're already in one, those who might be seeking out love, and then those who are single and happy. If you're in a relationship, the biggest challenge right now is both of you are pulled in a lot of directions here. So again, it could just be work or extracurricular things, or those of you that have children, some of that is taking you out of the sort of ability to be together. So creating space. I talked about this, and I mentioned there's nobody in that one if we look at the traditional Four of Wands. So the reason that there may be nobody here is that you're both in another space. So you've got to try to be in the same space at the same time. It may take a little bit of planning and calendar work, but it's worth it. Try to rise above a disagreement. This is a no-win argument, the Five of Swords. Take a step back, bring it back to a place of love. What do I mean by that? So if somebody's just kind of like not listening and saying things that could even be a little bit cruel, you could say, this isn't constructive. Remember, we're on the same team. I'm trying to help you out on this. Where is this coming from? What's at the root of this? Because it may just be, something going on at work, something going on with their family. And if it is something with you, say, when did this begin? Why am I just hearing about it now? Let's talk about what this argument is really about. But better yet, you might just take a step back and say, why don't we regroup later? I do care, but we're just kind of like arguing right now, and it's not effective arguing. You don't want to run away from one, but it needs to be a constructive argument. And if it's only one-sided, you do not have to take constant sort of a barrage of negativity. That is important to remember because it'll be exhausting for you. Vice versa, if you can't think clearly and it's just negativity coming off, it's very hard for the other person to ingest it. That's the only challenge I see. Everything else is good, and we all have those triggers from time to time. If we take that out of the equation, what I see here are evenly matched divine partnerships here, Emperor and Empress. I see one partner needs a little bit more of love and care. I see another partner is maybe a little bit more steady-footed right now. I do see three people in this equation. Those of you that have a blended family, maybe you are divorced and remarried, you're definitely showing up in the spread. When I'm looking at the former partner, I definitely see that person needing a little bit more support, and that almost takes you a little bit out of your power because these two are kind of more presenting as the here and the now. So try to remember it's important. Your current relationship is also, I would say, even more important. So create boundaries around the ex for those of you that might share a child with someone, or there's a reason to keep communicating with them. Everything in its own sort of compartment, and make sure that your partner has a say in that too. This is especially true if you're co-parenting or something like that. For the rest of you, this can actually be perhaps like a parent, aunt, or family member that's trying to insert themselves a little bit in the mix here, even though we don't have the Three of Cups. That external person is also coming through here. The good news is you can find the balance. After all, the Four of Wands comprises all the things that we love about love, but it does take focus, and it is about trying to bring the dual focus in that sort of Venn diagram, finding common interests, common goals, and being there for one another. All right. If you're looking for love, can you find it? Yes, you can. In the environment, we have the Lovers. The card is reversed. So for some of you, it's unexpected. You could be doing something where you wouldn't expect to meet someone. It could be shopping. You could be at school or at work. You could be completely focused on something that isn't even related to this. It could also be like at the doctor's office or whatever. All of a sudden you make a connection and you're surprised by it. But it is about being open to it and thinking, well, who am I to argue with timing and divine intervention? If this is how it's coming in, let me give it a go. So I think there could be something very inconvenient, unexpected, or unconventional about the way that you could meet someone because of where this is located. Things could get really serious really quickly. We have someone here who might be interested in starting a family or being, married. And we even see that coming up very quickly in a conversation, possibly uncomfortably soon. So one piece of advice for you is don't freak out if someone says it and just says, I'm interested in, getting married, starting a family, etc. Think, okay, I'll file that there. But then what's important is there chemistry? And do they like me for me, or are they just rushing to get to that finish line? For you, the same advice would come through. Give it a date or two before you get too serious or put too much pressure on someone. You just need to take a temperature check and a pulse check to see if this is someone you'd want to spend your life with. First and foremost, have some fun. Enjoy the Two of Cups. Don't rush through the Lovers. That's possibly why the Lovers was reversed. Make sure you are two birds of a feather and you enjoy each other's space, because ostensibly you have the potential to meet someone that you could be with for the long haul. So I like that. Yes, you can find someone. We have almost too many elements coming through because we have water, fire, and air coming through. No earth, except if we kind of read these as earthy because of the illustration. But with that many options, be discerning and be direct and be clear. Clarity is your key this month. Know who you are, know what you want. Don't waste time with things that are less than that. If you're single and happy, first and foremost, good for you. You get some choices this month. You have a very busy sort of calendar. I was talking about this especially for retirees, but a lot going on. Make smart choices with that. I feel like when it comes to relationships, that's really where the energy wants to go. So you can build a social network. If you're trying to get interest in a business, you have a great chance to market things out there. If you just want to meet some new people, this is the time to do so. People, and more people. The main other focus for you is to find better balance in your life, focus on your finances a bit, and really make sure that you have the grounding and that feeling of stability that you might be lacking right now. Okay? As we take a look here at Destiny, you have Zeus coming through. This is a representation of leadership, of power. It's connecting you here to what we saw here with the King of Wands. You have a chance to really make something happen if you want to. But it does involve rolling up your sleeves, being the agent of change, being behind the wheel and saying, let's do this, okay? I like the eagle in this. This is representing also a chance for you to get a bird's eye view, to step back, to ask for space if you need it, especially if you're feeling overworked or feeling pressured. But at the end of the day, this is another boss card. And it feels like your entire spread, Taurus, is boss. So boss energy coming through left, right, and center. And as we take a look now at the sun, rising, and moon sign, hopefully that will give you a little bit of clarity as to where to be the boss and maybe where some challenges might exist. So let's look at these areas now and see what's coming forth. All right, sun, rising, and moon. And we have a nice synchronicity here in the sun sign. We have the Chariot. This Chariot, however, just has a horse. There's not two horses, there's no chariot. It's kind of liberated. Some of you are in this moment where you want to be free of someone else's reins. And again, I did get a resistance to even wanting a partner for some of you when it comes to business and other matters this month. So it's all coming through as confirmation here. But because the card is reversed, it is saying like there are some benefits this month to accepting accepting help or partnering up. It could be healthier and it could create more happiness for you. But the key thing here is to know when to go solo, because this is basically like a Bronco or a Mustang kind of out there wild and free, and when you might have to collaborate a bit. Let's just regroup with the original message that I had here on the Chariot and see what it was about. So here's when it makes sense to accept some help or partner. I saw someone that was trying to get that initial driver's permit. So driver's education requires that you oftentimes like have someone drive in a car with you to teach you how to operate the vehicle. Back when I was in school, there used to be a simulator, but it was terrible. Nothing really duplicated the experience of being on the road itself. And I remember just how scary that was initially. And yeah, I was in the car with like 3 other people, 2 other students that were also going through driver's education, and it helped. It really did help. And we went on like a very small road in the middle of nowhere and practiced things. So you might need to practice, or it may be important to get that guidance here from someone who's more experienced in some facet of your life. But otherwise, you're going to eventually get that permit, get your freedom, and be able to fly, or in this case, drive. All right, moving on to rising. Make time to plan. The 2 of Wands is all about your clarity, and you're basically putting a pin on a map and saying, here's where I'm at, here's where I want to go. Take time to do that. Take time to dream, and make sure that you're checking in with your plans in your dreams so that you can check progress. And those are the main takeaways for rising and ascendant. Moon. For many of you, it's a month of healing. The 5 of Pentacles has to do with healing trauma, drama, and issues from the past. For some of you, it could just be that someone said something that didn't go away. It was something mean. They said, you're not good enough. You can't do this. And you thought to yourself, maybe I can't. I'm here to flip it around and say, you probably can. What you really want to focus on instead is thinking, why can't I? What can I do to build myself up, to feel that sense of power and empowerment in my life? Don't accept things that are taking more than they should from you energetically, or not giving you enough when it comes to compensation. Just say no to things that are a bad investment, basically. This card can have to do with basically taking care of your feet. If you've had an ankle sprain or any sort of broken bones, or just feeling a little bit of discomfort, make sure you got the right pair of shoes, that you're talking to a doctor, getting the support you need, not ignoring that. This can also have to do with like circulation and just general health in the lower extremities. So definitely focus on all of that. All right, moving now to your final question. Think of one thing that you still have a little bit of a question or interest in, and put that out into the universe so I can get some clarity for you. This can be anything that you need to ask a question about. All right, we have a favorable final card here. The Sun would be a yes to a yes-no question. The nuances of this card are as such. First and foremost, this is about your charisma and your ability to just basically pull people into what it is that you want to do by smiling, by being passionate, by believing in yourself. This is one of the baby cards in tarot. So if you're trying to conceive, or if you're trying to birth something figuratively, this is auspicious. It's a glue card, just like the Sun is the glue in our solar system. So it's also a boss energy. So you have the ability to basically pull things into your life, organize them, create order from disorder, and that's where the power and the opportunity is. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your reading today, to channel all of this through. It's been my honor and pleasure. If you enjoyed this, you can show that support simply by liking and subscribing and leaving a comment below. So in advance of that, I appreciate you. To get additional reminders, join me on social media. It's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh. Pay attention to the spelling. Make sure there's no extra characters. There's some random imposters out there, so I just want you to stay safe. To that end, remember, I don't offer private readings, nor do I use any sort of direct messages for business. So anybody doing that is an imposter, and you can block and report. If you want to show love and support, you can do it through a super sticker, super chat, and also through memberships. I wish you all the best in the month ahead, and I'll see you soon.